Hi, welcome to a special presentation today, that is impact of COVID-19 on Indian meat industry and way forward. This was a presentation made in a webinar conducted by Indian Meat Science Association. As you all know, the COVID-19, the pandemic which is affecting every aspect of life all over the world. So it has affected very badly the livestock industry and also the meat sector. So we are going to talk more specifically on the impact of this COVID-19 on Indian meat industry and what are the way out. So quickly let us see about the Indian meat sector. The meat sector in India contributes 2.5 lakh crores to the national economy. This is as per 2017-18, and that makes about 24% of the GDP from livestock, and it makes about 1% contribution to the national GDP of the country. In 2018-19, this meat sector exported 1.24 million ton buffalo meat, and which is worth of 3,608 million US dollar. Let us see quickly the meat sector in terms of different species contribution. In 2017-18, the chicken contributed about 50% of the total meat produced in India. And this is a paradigm shift. About 2 decades ago, this used to be around 30 to 35%. Whereas there is a reduction from pig and cattle meat. Buffalo remains slightly better or increased. Goat also slightly increased, but sheep slightly reduced. Let us see the poultry sector, which is the major part of this Indian meat sector. The broiler industry is the major, which produces about 4.7 million tons of meat, and that provides about 3.4 kg chicken meat per capita per annum. And this broiler industry is worth of about 85,000 crore of Indian rupees. Similarly, there is layer industry, which is worth of 45,000 crore Indian rupees, and which produces 108 billion eggs. So this broiler and layer industry provides huge job for the Indian people and to the economy. Now let us see what happened due to the COVID-19, how it has affected the meat sector. So as we all know, it started in China in December last in 2019. Later it spread in different countries in January and February, and India got reports of infection in March. And in 23rd March, nationwide lockdown was announced, and that lockdown had several restrictions on every aspect, and that led to a lot of impact on the meat industry. Now there was restriction in transportation, so that led to no road transport. So there was a lot of problem in movement of animals and movement of the workers, the laborers. They also cannot move due to the severe restrictions. There was broken supply chain for other subsidiary requirements, feed and other things, or for a meat plant they cannot bring the animals. There was restriction on the gatherings, so all kind of marriages and other social gatherings were restricted. All social functions are restricted, so they are the major bulk order for meat. All the hotels, restaurants and catering institutions were closed, so they are the major demand for the meat. There was severe rumors spread to the people that consumption of chicken can cause transmission of disease. So chicken market or chicken industry or broiler industry was heavily affected with that. We are going to discuss all this again separately in different sector. Because of the restrictions on meat production and retailing, there was some orders to stop the production, especially the retailing units. That affected the industry. The tourist activity totally suspended. That severely affected. This sector has got huge demand for meat and meat products. And also due to all the lockdown, there was reduced family income. So people cannot afford to spend more. There was a lot of uncertainty in every aspect of life. So people cannot afford to spend money towards purchase of meat. So these are the major factors which affected the meat industry. We are going to discuss separately in different sector wise. So firstly, let us see the poultry sector. As I said, it produces 50% of the meat in India. So this poultry sector was most severely affected due to COVID-19. Initially, the poultry products reduced to 50%. Demand for poultry products reduced to 50% and price fell down up to 70%. So original price, which used to be around 180 to 200 rupees, that has gone down to up to even 60 rupees, and that was causing huge loss to the industry. So as per All India Poultry Breeders Association, this loss estimated to be 22,500 crore and a job loss of about 5 crore. Then after about 1 month of lockdown, that is around 20th April onwards, there was some relaxation in the rules and some improvement in the activities. So the demand slightly improved. And it could not improve to expected level because the food outlets, tourist activities were yet to be open. In India, on an average, a poultry farmer will have a size of about 800 birds and with a cycle of 40 days. So it is estimated to be around a loss of rupees 10 lakhs per family. In Indian poultry sector, 90% of the broilers are sold in retail counters. Now these retail counters were restricted by different government orders. So the livelihood of the farmers and the livelihood of these retailers were affected. Many product processing plants either closed or functioning at 30% capacity due to the less demand or due to the limited storage capacity. So they were not getting proper demand, proper supply of animals or proper workers. So the activities were reduced. Now there was a lot of job loss. In direct poultry industry, if there is 4 jobs, it creates another job for the subsidiary or allied sectors. So these allied sectors was also affected when the poultry farming industry were affected. So these industries are like feed supplier, medicine, vaccine and other equipment suppliers. Now in April, as I said, the demand and prices started picking up in April end. But supply chain issues have halted the recovery. That is the supply of other feed, medicine, etc. due to the restriction in the transportations. So here we can see an order in Bangalore when the chicken supply was allowed, the price was restricted. Initially, when the people were not at all eating chicken, government didn't do anything much at that moment. But later, of course, some activities were taken up by the government. I'm coming to it later. But here, when the chicken shops were open, allowed to open, the prices were restricted and that was causing a loss. Now let us see the buffalo meat sector. Here, the milk plants sometimes closed, so milk prices reduced, and rising feed prices and abattoirs closing. And that was causing a severe distress to the farmers. There was reduced demand, restrictions by local bodies, difficulty in transport of livestock and labor brought export abattoirs to a halt. Because of the restriction in transport, livestock could not be brought or workers or laborers cannot move. That caused many abattoirs to close or function in a very low capacity. Lockdown reduced meat export by about 0.1 million ton, which is worth of 2000 crores per month. In 2020-21, it is going to be a very challenging situation because this meat exports is reducing, and International Monetary Fund has predicted that there are going to be a serious economic collapse or a kind of depression like 1930. So altogether the meat exports in 2020-21 is going to be severely affected. So from India, the meat export is majorly from buffalo, and this buffalo export is going to be reduced by about 5,000 crore in this coming financial year. Normally it used to be 25 to 30,000 crore, but in this year it is expected to be only 20,000 crore. Now about the small ruminant sector, that is about the sheep and goat. Here the large scale municipal abattoirs have stopped functioning due to the lockdown orders. Sometimes they have also restricted the functioning of the abattoirs. Even the transport of animals, as I said, were affected. So big municipal abattoirs were closed. That affected the farmers and the workers. The interstate movement of sheep and goats has drastically come down. Due to the restriction, the movement of animals were restricted, so meat plants could not function properly. With the closing down of restaurants, demand for the meat has come down in general. As I said earlier, all the restaurants were closed, so demand for meat was reduced because most of the people take meat from these restaurants. Small ruminant meat sector affected due to low demand and problems in interstate movements of animals, as I already explained. With lockdown, movement of meat handlers and retailers restricted. So most of the meat is sold by the retail outlets, so they were asked to close down, and movement of meat handlers were not possible due to restriction in the road or transportation. So altogether there was difficulty in operation. As I said, after April 20th, that is after 1 month of lockdown, the mutton sales picked up with little bit of relaxation on the restrictions, and especially the coming Ramzan, in view of coming Ramzan in the next month. But the maintaining of social distancing was a big challenge, and that was affecting the further progress of this meat supply or demand. Now about the pig sector. Pigs basically goes from different states to the state of Kerala and northeastern state. These are the places where the pork is consumed to a greater extent. So all the pig farms, even if it is located in other state, they are transported to these two places for consumption. Now due to the lockdown, the transportation were affected, so the pigs could not be taken to the right place for slaughter, and consumption also got affected. With the closing of food outlets, that affected the major source of feed for pigs. So all the big hotels and restaurants in all big cities and metro cities will have large amount of food waste. That food waste is collected and used as the feed for the pigs. Now when the restaurants and hotels, everything were closed, the source of these feed item for the pigs were not available. So that was affecting this piggery farming. Then because the pigs were not transported or slaughtered, so farmers are left with large number of pigs with high body weight. That was again a economic loss. Many local bodies have asked farmers not to undertake pig farming in their localities. So in some state, particularly in Assam, a new African swine flu case outbreak came out. With that, even orders were issued to stop the pig farming. So altogether, pig farmers had a big risk, and their livelihoods were affected because of the lockdown, because of the stoppage in transportation, because of the shortage of food source, or because of the higher body weight. Here we can see a newspaper report in Karnataka where a progressive farmer started a large scale pig farming by investing about 40 lakhs, but he got severely affected due to many of these problems. Similarly, here as I said, in Assam there was outbreak of African swine flu, and then the government has issued an order to stop the sale and distribution of pork. So the pig farmers were also affected. Let us see quickly the global scenario. In Brazil, consumption of more meat during pandemic was observed. All animal products show positive numbers during February and March. So at that time the number of cases were comparatively less in Brazil. So people were eating more meat, maybe especially to strengthen their immunity, etc. So till February and March all the figures were in a higher side or positive side. But after that only the positive cases started and the plants started closing. That's the situation in Brazil. In China, transport and labor problems led to thousands of containers of frozen chicken, pork and beef piling up at some of China's major ports. So in China, as we know, the outbreak first started by December last, and then in January and February it was a severe situation. Everything locked down, there was no movement, no transport, no labor. So thousands of frozen meat containers of chicken and pork and beef got stuck. That was totally disrupting the meat supply chain. In USA, many meat plants closed operations after many staff tested positive. So later, from March onwards, the large number of cases were found in USA. So all the meat plants stopped operation. Many staff got positive test. And as per the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, National Cattlemen's Beef Association, they have estimated that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, a loss expected from the beef industry is about 13.8 billion US dollar. Then in Europe, there was severe outbreak in most of the countries. So all the restaurants were closed and demand for meat has reduced, and there was price of beef also badly reduced. But many people, since they cannot go out or eat the meat, they started buying more chicken and meat and egg to prepare and eat in home. This is the scenario in the global. Now let us see some of the government responses. Here we can see that there was an order mentioning that animal husbandry comes under essential activities, but it emphasizes more on the health related activities, but it was not taken care of about the livestock movement and operation of the meat plants. So in the ground situation, the movement of animals, operation of meat plants, meat outlets were totally stopped at the first 1 month or initial stages. Here we can see one order from the district magistrate of Kurnool, which says to close all the chicken and mutton selling shops, and that badly affected all those areas. Here of course it is a positive attitude and taken from the Telangana state. In Hyderabad, the poultry farmers arranged a poultry meat and egg mela, in which we found that ministers are openly eating chicken to eliminate the fear and rumor that eating chicken may spread the corona. So this was a very positive attempt to encourage the people for eating chicken or other meat or eggs. Here again in Karnataka, government has taken special effort and made lot of publicity to encourage the people and educate the people that eating chicken or livestock products is not proved to transmit the disease, so it can be eaten safely. This was a positive impact for the common people. Here one advisory was issued by Indian Veterinary Research Institute telling about the restrictions of workers in the farm and what kind of measures they should take, health care and other sanitization, etc. Similarly, there has been order from Department of Animal Husbandry or Animal Husbandry Commissioner in the central government telling about the chicken eating. They have tried to issue letter that eating chicken is not going to transmit the disease as of now. Let us think about the way forward. What are the options we have to overcome the problems due to the COVID-19? So firstly, working to provide hassle-free transportation to livestock and livestock products. So as per the lockdown orders, they tried to implement strictly movement of all vehicles and movement of livestock and livestock products. Actually, as per the rule, these things are exempted. The movement of livestock and the livestock products and the people are actually exempted, but it was not properly implemented. So care should be taken in this area. The transportation of livestock and other subsidiary related to meat plant and meat transport should be properly allowed to create positive image about meat industry among consumers. So a wrong perception has been created, rumors has been spread that meat or particularly poultry can cause transmission of disease, because originally the coronavirus came from wet market in China, though it is yet to be proved. But with that feeling, it was spread that eating chicken or meat can spread the disease. So we need to eliminate this fear and rumor and educate the consumers. Retail sector urge local bodies to take informed decision against closing retail shops. As I said earlier, many authorities close the meat shops. That should not happen. Actually, meat shops should remain closed as per the rules. So we need to educate the local authorities that they should not simply close these meat shops. They should consult to proper authorities and the experts before doing that. Promote mobile stalls for meat and meat products at consumers' doorsteps. So this should be a new approach. Instead of selling meat in the roadside meat stalls where the social distancing is a big problem. Whereas if we try mobile shop, that is mobile vans with refrigeration can carry the meat and supply it on the door of consumer. Thereby it is easy to avoid the social distancing problem. Provide financial support in terms of compensation, restructuring of loans and interest. So this is to support the farmers and the industry. So government should give financial compensation since it is a huge natural calamity. The restructuring of loans or interest should be reduced. Similarly, online trading. As I said, the mobile meat supply. Similarly, online trading, which can avoid people gathering and social distancing issues. So instead of that, meat can be supplied through online where the hygienic aspect or the social distancing or the spread of disease can be controlled. Food safety measures. In addition to SPC measures, that is sanitary and phytosanitary measures, following practice may assist in preventing spread of virus at livestock farms or at meat plants or processing plants. So firstly, procure animals from disease-free villages than from livestock market. So normally people buy the animal from livestock market where it is heavily congested with human and animals and the risk of transmission of disease is very high, so which cannot be allowed. So now we need to operate in a different way. Animals can be directly purchased from villages, particularly where there is no outbreak or no cases. So in this case, the problem of social distancing can be solved. Secondly, the drivers bringing feed and animals may be stopped near gate, and in-plant drivers may sanitize and drive the vehicles inside. Here, whenever any material, either the animal or other subsidiary materials brought by any vehicles, that should be stopped near the gate. Now the drivers from inside the plant can come, sanitize the vehicle and take it inside. So we can eliminate the chances of getting the infection inside the plant. Arrange in-plant stay for the workers or distributors. So like during these periods for a couple of months, 2-3 months, all the workers can be arranged to stay inside or in the nearby lodges. So normally if they go and come every day, then there is possibility of bringing the infection inside. So same is the case for the distributors who work for distribution of the meat or meat products in the surrounding area. Similarly, store all non-meat ingredients, materials as a batch for 3-4 days before utilizing in processing to ensure removal of virus if any. So here what we are trying to say is all the meat related ingredients or other materials which are procured from outside market should be kept for few days separately. So when we hold it for 2 to 3 days, automatically the virus will become inactive. After that, it can be used for processing purposes. Then we need to educate the people for changing their mindset, changing their habit of consumption of food. Like normally people don't like packaged food. Normally people don't like packaged food. They think that this packaged food may be stale. So we need to educate that these packaged foods are hygienic and safe. We need to change that increased tendency towards disposability and spending. We need to spend more for better health and immunity. Similarly, there should be shifting from price consideration to quality and safety. Quality should be the more important for buying any food item. Here, the earlier normally people like to take fresh raw milk, but we should educate them to take the pasteurized milk. Then technological interventions. Here, self-stable value-added meat products. So these are the products which can be stored without refrigeration. So we should encourage the industry to produce self-stable value-added meat products like retort processing. This is a modern processing where the meat or other dishes can be stored room temperature for long time and very easy and safe to handle. No need to store in refrigerator. Similarly, the traditional meat products, Indian meat products like dried meat or pickle, they are having very high demand in the foreign market and they can be stored without refrigeration. They are very easy to handle. So the meat industry should change their business for making all these kind of products and try to export in the other countries. Here we can see the mobile meat supply van. This was an initiative by Karnataka State Sheep and Wool Development Corporation Limited. The vehicle is designed from the National Research Center of Meat and they also provided all technical support and manpower training through which it started operating in Bangalore. What meat experts can do. So develop and propagate social distancing friendly marketing methodologies. This I have already discussed, like we must come up with modern and innovative ideas for marketing where the social distancing should not be a problem. Like the mobile van which can solve some of this problem. Similarly, online marketing, like we should think similar way, modern and innovative way for marketing. Release newspaper articles, deliver radio talks and audio-visual programs to create positive public opinion. As I said earlier, the rumors created a lot of problem for poultry market. There was huge loss for the poultry industry. So we the experts should work on this line for preparing the articles to educate the people that this meat is as of now is not the source of infection or not going to cause the infection. We should give radio talks or other digital media to educate the people. We must act as a repository of latest developments and government guidelines and as think tank to assist stakeholders. So if we act seriously, if we have all the information in us, then we can spread it to the community and educate the people about the latest situation related to meat and the corona infection. We must encourage and support stakeholders into processed meat products. The industry should be encouraged to go for processed meat products. Normally, our Indian condition, our habit is to consume the fresh meat. Only the processing is very less. Now the industries should take this opportunity. Though it is an adversity, we must take it as an opportunity. So the industry should go for making more processed products. Thereby they will find it easy to handle the meat or store the meat, and slowly the consumption pattern will change, and that will be a new boost to the meat industry. Promote marketing of chilled frozen meat and packaged meat and meat products. As I said, the Indian consumers are habituated to eat fresh meat. Normally they don't like chilled and frozen, but when we have to sell the fresh meat, there is a problem of social distancing, and there is a lot of gathering or queue of people. So now we should avoid that. We should have only chilled and frozen meat, and this is an opportunity to change the consumer habit, and that will have a good impact in the long run for the industry. Similarly, more of packaged meat and meat products should be produced, and consumers should be educated to change their habit of eating, and thereby in the long run industry will be benefited. So this is briefly a presentation about the impact of COVID-19 on Indian meat industry and what are the way out. Briefly we have tried to present here. This talk was presented in a webinar on behalf of organized by Indian Meat Science Association and prepared by 3 of us. Hope this will be useful for all the stakeholders. Thank you for watching. Thanks.